We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Yes. Here we are a little bit earlier today because I have another appointment that I have to make in about an hour. So this show will have to be exactly a half hour. So if you're watching live, I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to spend too much time on taking questions or anything. Although I will be very happy to entertain any questions on the next broadcast, which I'm not sure when that's going to be because the Christmas vacation will be coming up for the channel. As I said, I have a few things recorded that I'm going to play during that time. But I did want to make sure I got a live Saturday stream up because we had some interesting things happen this week. We had a couple of announcements and a couple of trailers. Unfortunately, I never got around to watching the Stargirl trailer. That's going to be coming out, I believe, next year on DC Universe. And I'm going to have to save that for another broadcast. Again, just don't have the time. But leave your comments in the comment section below. I will read all comments on a subsequent live broadcast. And have to check out the mailbag for next week. I do want to point you to the links in the description below, my Twitter page. We have a poll of the week up, which the week is almost over, unfortunately. You got 23 hours left to vote in this poll, but if you check my Twitter page, we did this week a very Christmas-themed poll of the week. Best superhero movie set at Christmas. Now, there's only a few. This, of course, is inspired by Is Die Hard a Christmas movie and all the debate that surrounds that question. The top three contenders that I can think of course, is Batman Returns, Iron Man 3, and Shazam, which just came out last year. I also left a slot for other, just in case there's another one that you consider a superhero movie that I do not remember. So far, as it stands, with 23 hours left, we have 52 votes. 2% said other. In third place, we have Iron Man 3 with 21% of the vote. A relatively close competition between these two. In second place, Shazam with 35% of the vote. And in first place with 42% of the vote, Batman Returns. Not really surprising that it's between those two. Iron Man 3 is sort of a contentious film to people. Shazam just came out, so obviously it's still pretty popular. And I think most of us grew up with Batman Returns. I honestly don't know which I would say was the best of those. Gee, I don't know. Maybe I would probably tentatively say Shazam, although that doesn't really feel like a Christmas movie to me. That's the thing. Most of these don't feel like Christmas movies, do they? They just feel like a superhero movie that's set in, December or with, Christmas decorations in the back and so forth. Alright, so let's get straight to it. Before we get to the trailer reviews, we did get another bit of news here that I wanted to cover. Of course, also, because I always forget to say this later, but hit that like button, smash that subscribe button if you have to. And you can tell I'm in a rush today. I'm really in a rush. I really should have saved this broadcast for some other time. But smash that subscribe button and make sure you share the video with all your friends and neighbors. Tell them to join us every week on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on Johnny Torch Live. Of course, you also want to hit that link in the description below to check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, the comic book extravaganza penned and created by yours truly, where you have the titular protagonist, the down-on-his-luck Bullets Bourbon, a private eye, who takes on the most colorful collection of villains imaginable. And again, I don't know if this will be the last broadcast before Christmas, but if it is, may I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and enjoy whatever holidays you observe. Alright, so now getting to the news. We got some release dates. Speaking of Shazam, the aforementioned Shazam, Shazam 2 has been given a release date of April 1st, 2022. That's kind of interesting. They decided to put Shazam 2 out on April Fool's Day. Quite interesting. I don't know if I'm supposed to read anything into that. And The Flash, which has floundered in the Speed Force. I said this before, but I think I followed the history of The Flash in its various incarnations since it was originally, I don't know, when was it originally announced? I think it was 2013. It was shortly before Batman v Superman. But in any case, we finally have a date that is supposedly ironclad of July 1st, 2022. So within a couple of months of each other, Shazam and The Flash will both show up on our big screens. Let's see. Andrew Muschietti will be taking the helm on The Flash, and of course David Sandberg picking up directorial duties for Shazam 2. Supposedly this will be a few months after Black Adam's solo movie. I think they've led us to believe that Shazam 2 is going to be with Mr. Mind, right? I don't think it's going to be Black Adam, but quite possibly the third movie might be the big Black Adam crossover, and I don't know, I just feel kind of strange about having Black Adam being a hero. Or anti-hero. They're kind of, I think, going to do the thing with him like they did with Venom. I don't know how that's going to work. With Venom, I think you have the excuse. He's kind of been treated more as an anti-hero for most of his life. His print life. Black Adam, I think, has traditionally been a villain until they've tried to spin him into something a little more palatable for public consumption. So, what do you think about Shazam 2 and The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, getting his big screen solo adventure finally? Let me know in the comments below. And let's start off with the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. Now, this was kind of interesting. I don't know. My overall feeling for the trailer was it's a very good teaser trailer, but I can't get too excited about it from what we've seen. I think this just sort of whets the appetite and sort of proves to us that they're going to take the lore seriously. That's what struck me the most. This does not feel quite tonally like Ghostbusters, the original two, the Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. It certainly doesn't feel like the Ghostbusters remake, thankfully, but that again was also even more broad comedy than the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. This does not feel like sort of a broad comedy. This feels more like a dramedy, or a dramedy, where they're sort of picking up the pieces of Egon's past, his history, whatever, his family, his daughter, and 2 grandchildren. And they both look amazingly like Harold Ramis. Like the little girl here. I don't think we got the names of the characters. I watched the trailer a couple of times, but like I said, they're very scant on detail in this trailer, which is fine for a teaser. This sort of just gives the flavor of what's going to come. We get Paul Rudd, who looks like, he's probably going to be the best part of this movie. I would love to see him suit up as a Ghostbuster, though I don't really know. As I said all along, my only problem with using 12-year-olds as Ghostbusters is that it's kind of far removed from the original premise, which was scientists that are sort of lovable goofballs, being for hire as your exterminator, This is basically children wearing proton packs that probably weigh as much as they do. I don't know if that's going to carry the same kind of, well, no pun intended, weight as sort of what the original intention was with the original you know, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd storyline. But Paul Rudd seems to fit into that pretty well. Again, we don't see any of the Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters in this. We get a quick glimpse of footage from, I believe, the original 1984 Ghostbusters. And Paul Rudd saying, you know, in the 80s, it was like The Walking Dead. Which, you know, was a kind of a cool reference here for the youngins that don't really remember. And I think, honestly, if they do get everyone back, all the living cast members, which supposedly that's the case, I think we probably will get a decent amount of the original cast in this. I don't think it's going to be centered on them, though. That's another thing that I think we have to glean from this trailer, which is, it's very much like, I suppose, and I don't want to say this in a derogatory way, like the Disney Star Wars sequels, the original trilogy sequels that Disney are doing, where it's very clear that they're focusing on the new cast, the next generation. It's interesting that Star Trek: The Next Generation, you know, which kind of, I suppose, started this whole trend of sort of next generation properties, they didn't really have this problem quite as bad because they set it so far in the future. But there's always going to be that problem, that issue of how much of the original cast are we going to see in this? And are we going to see enough? Is it just going to be a brief walk-on role for all of them? I'm going to be willing to guess that it's going to be a little bit more than that, but I think they are sort of setting us up to understand that this is the next generation Ghostbusters. This is not really going to be, you know, a grand revival of the original cast and the original storylines. It's just basically a next generation handoff. I think that's what we're supposed to take from this. Which, again, I'm going to have to wait and see how they handle it. I don't know if that's going to be disappointing in the way they handle it or not. I think also, as I said, the tone. I think the tone does favor Bill Murray coming back, because he's been traditionally the sticking point. He turned down multiple opportunities to come back when Harold Ramis was still alive in the 90s and even into the 2000s. But I think his comic sensibilities have drifted over time to more serious fare. I'm not saying that he will completely eschew comedy, but he seems to want that sort of, you know, that meaningful comedy, quote unquote. Sort of, that's his niche now, and I think this will probably suit him better, at least for his purposes. I don't know if it's going to please the fans as much to see a reserved Peter Venkman, but they did play the classic quote from the original Ghostbusters, "Call it fate, call it luck, call it karma," which I thought was another nice touch. Again, that's sort of hinting that we do have Murray in, for people that were probably wondering, gee, is he actually in this? I think that's probably the clearest indication that they got him back. We get to see the Ectomobile revved up and ready to go, driving through the cornfields of I don't know where. But it looks great. I don't know. This is the original Ectomobile, I suppose. I mean, did the Ghostbusters 2 one have the 2 symbol on the ghost? I forget if they actually did that, or if that was just the marketing. Because I remember, yeah. Again, they don't have the Ghostbusters song, the original Ghostbusters Ray Parker Jr. song, which is a classic, which has to show up at some point during this movie. Again, so I'm kind of conflicted about it. Again, I appreciate that they're showing some reverence. They're treating it with an amount of respect. You know, they're putting a little bit of gravitas on this whole thing because of the passing of Harold Ramis. But again, it's got to be a comedy. It's got to be funny. We do get a glimpse of a ghost here. I think they show some green light, which kind of suggests Slimer. I don't think this is Slimer, but you see the Ectomobile and the kid in the sidecar shooting the proton pack. again, it's kind of what we wanted, I think, as a handoff movie for Ghostbusters. I don't know exactly if it's gonna hit all the boxes that we need them to check in order to, to really feel like it's a part of the original franchise. But I'm cautiously optimistic. Let me put it that way. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. And, we see the little girl with the PKE meter. We see Spengler's uniforms, Ghostbuster uniforms. I didn't get all the images here because that would take way too long. And we see Egon's collection of spores, molds, and fungus. So, again, it seems like they're doing everything right. I really need another trailer, hopefully one that showcases the original cast, hopefully one that has the original Ghostbusters theme, to really energize me and get me on board with this. But it looks interesting. It looks, like I said, reverential. I don't think that Jason Reitman is going to let this thing be a disaster. I think they want to do right by the original concept and the fans of the original franchise. So, yeah, I'm going to tentatively say I'm optimistic. Okay, so, all right, next up, what do we have here? We have the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. This is the teaser trailer as well, so I don't know if we get a whole lot of info about this. It starts, we get our first look at Kristen Wiig, previously of Ghostbusters 2016 fame, and she is going to be playing the Cheetah. What's her name in real life? Priscilla Minerva, I think. Is that what the character's name is? Yeah. We sadly don't get a look at her as the Cheetah in this trailer. I was a little disappointed in that, but again, this is a teaser, and I'm not sure if they're going to go with just makeup and costuming, or if they're going to go slightly CGI. I've heard some conflicting reports about that. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I think they probably haven't, or at least they're not ready to show off that look. They didn't nail down that look yet. But yeah, Kristen Wiig, a very comely woman, if I may say. And speaking of comely, Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot. I started to say Gadot because so many people say that, but her name is actually pronounced Gadot because I've heard her say it herself. And I sometimes slip into the peer pressure of calling her Gadot, but it's really Gal Gadot. So Gal Gadot, looking lovely as ever, and apparently she becomes friends with Cheetah in her civilian identity, and that's going to be fun. I can't pretend to know a whole lot about Cheetah and stuff. I don't remember a whole lot of Wonder Woman comics from when I was a kid. I haven't read them in quite a while. But I believe it's another one of those, like Lex Luthor type things, where they started out as friends, and then some kind of sad twist of fate, puts them on opposing paths, and some kind of vendetta is forged from tragedy. Alright, of course, here's Wonder Woman yet again in I don't know, some kind of function here. She seems to show up to those quite frequently, as a matter of fact. I think it's just an excuse to have, Gal dressed to the nines and go to a formal function. But looking very schway, very... and I got a comment here also on the music on this trailer. I thought the music was fantastic. I thought that was superb. Of course, it is set in the 80s, and they did... I always forget the name of the band that does this song. I think it's New World Order, but How Does It Feel? And it was done over by, I think, a band called Blue Monday. And it's just an awesome track. Look it up. Look up Wonder Woman trailer song. And, man, is it awesome. Is it ever awesome. Alright, so we get introduced to Maxwell Lord, who is played by Pedro Pascal. He is the Mandalorian. I haven't seen The Mandalorian, so I can't really say anything about his acting because I don't know. From what I understand, though, he's always in costume with a helmet on and stuff, so I don't know that that's a good barometer of his talent anyway to be in The Mandalorian, but excited to see how he plays this. In the comics, of course, Maxwell Lord gets his neck broken by Wonder Woman, a la Superman and Man of Steel. I'm hoping that they don't do that here. I'm guessing they won't. I don't think they're going to. But yeah, he's sort of another Lex Luthor type villain. Kind of concerned, are they going to go for a, you know, Donald Trump-esque character here where he's, you know, he's got money and aspirations of, you know, grandeur and so forth. But I am going to reserve those kind of concerns. I don't think that they want to make this film, as the CW has done, as a sort of political statement. So there's that. Let's see. Then we have a mall altercation. This guy on the right here, he's really selling it, isn't he? I don't think she's breaking your wrist, is she? I don't know. I certainly hope not. But Wonder Woman gets into some action in a mall, of all places, where she takes out a bunch of gun-toting hooligans. And always great to see Wonder Woman in action. Look at that, Walden Books. You can tell this is the 80s. I loved going to Walden Books all through the 90s when I was a teenager. Going to the mall was my favorite place. Walden Books. Great to see it again, even if temporarily. We get a lot of lasso action in this trailer. I love the lasso. And we also get, which is another one of my favorite tricks in Wonder Woman's handbook, is the tiara. That's one of the things that she used a lot as an offensive weapon in the television series, the Linda Carter series, where she uses the tiara also as a boomerang. So it's not like she's completely reliant on the lasso and the tiara. I have a, let me see, I'm going to look at this. I got some copy here where they talk about why the sword and shield are gone. And I'm very happy about that, because I said all along I don't think Wonder Woman should use a sword and shield. I believe she is a defensive fighter, and a sword and a shield are weapons of war. Wonder Woman is supposed to be an ambassador. You know, she's supposed to be the, you know, her message has always been one of peace between, you know, man's world and Paradise Island and, you know, all that stuff. So, let's see. I believe I don't have the whole quote here. I think this is Gal Gadot said, "We had an intention to let go of the sword because there's something very aggressive with the sword. If you have a sword, you need to use it. So we wanted to give up that, and we didn't feel that the shield was necessary either. She's a goddess, she can fight, she's super strong, and she has the skills and the lasso." So again, this is what I felt as well in the first movie, but I guess, I don't know, it was a different time, maybe because she just left the island and she kind of had learned to rely on her powers and strengths rather than, you know, using weapons of war. Alright, so let's see. We see the return of Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor, of course, Chris Pine is back and better than ever before. And I don't know what that means. I just... This was a cool shot. I like this. It looks like she's dressed exactly like Linda Carter, circa, you know, 1979. This is like 5 years removed from that, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know if that was a conscious choice, but she looks very Linda Carter-esque in that outfit. And I have to say, they're making the same mistake here that they did in the Linda Carter show, where they're not having her wear the glasses and giving her a civilian identity. I don't understand that. I think for some reason Wonder Woman is seen as sort of like Captain America, where Captain America wears the mask, you know, the helmet slash mask slash cowl, whatever, and he really doesn't do it to protect his identity. He does it more for, like, making a statement, you know, or maybe, you know, protective gear or something like that. but they don't really have identities that need to be protected. I mean, even in the comics, I don't think Captain America was really, into protecting his identity for fear, because he was sort of a man alone. And I suppose that's the same thought with Wonder Woman. She doesn't have dependents and, loved ones that apparently could be put in danger. Now, of course, Steve Trevor comes back, and that all changes now. Do it. All right, let's see. Again, some more action. This looks like it's in the White House. I'm not sure. Are we going to get a cameo of Ronnie Reagan? I don't know, but that's kind of an interesting concept. Let's see. I'm also going to read the copy here. Let me finish up this copy, because I figure that's a good picture to stay on for a few minutes. But Patty Jenkins told The Hollywood Reporter during CCXP in Brazil about Wonder Woman 3. We actually already know the whole story to it. It's just a matter of, will we change our minds when to make it? And when to make it. I think what we don't want is to do it back to back. It's been great doing these two movies back to back, and I think it's important to give it a little rest in between. And I like doing other things in between, and Gal has other things to do. I never want to make decisions too far in advance. We have to see if we both feel like making the movie we think we want to make when the moment comes. So, thankfully they already got plans for Wonder Woman 3 in the works. Unfortunately, it sounds like there's going to be quite a wait in between movies, which is disappointing to me, because it seems like there's been a long wait for this movie, hasn't it? This movie was supposed to come out last June, I think, and they postponed it for a full year. So, I don't know. I mean, what was it? It's going on a 3-year wait, I think, for all DC movies, all DC sequels. So I kind of feel like, are we going to wait even longer than 3 years for this next movie, the third one? Because that would seem to be a little overkill, in my opinion. Alright, I didn't know what this was originally, this scene, but apparently this is the Invisible Jet, I guess, right? She takes Steve on a tour of the Invisible Jet, which I'm happy that that's made its way into the movies as well. That's going to be something fun to see. Yeah, because, Steve was a pilot, and so he should really know something about this. This is updated technology for him, though. He was World War I, you have to remember. They don't explain in any way, shape, or form how this is the exact same Steve Trevor from World War I surviving. I don't know. He looks like his hair is a little grayer here. So what I'm guessing probably happened is they're going to say it's some kind of... I think it's some kind of Bucky Barnes thing, where he sort of probably... I don't have any clue on how, but survived, and was sort of put in stasis off and on for a good number of years. It's the only thing I can understand, because for him to look like maybe he aged 5 years over the course of whatever it would have been, 60 years or something, there has to be a story there. I'm not exactly sure what, but it has to be. Again, I just wanted to see spotlight on the costume there. We can really see the costume great. They haven't changed it. It looks great, nice and bright, nice and colorful, the way a comic book superhero costume should look. And I love to see her swinging that lasso. Like I said, a lot more lasso action. That's what I want to see. Wonder Woman's prime weapon, such as it is the Lasso of Truth. And I want to see her using that more. I never particularly liked the boots. I mean, there was a close-up of the boots. I didn't bother to take that shot. But it looks like armor sort of snapped on half-heartedly together. I don't know why they didn't just give her an actual boot instead of sort of making it like 3 or 4 pieces that kind of snap together. I always thought that looked weird. But the rest of this costume is spectacular. I think the tiara, I don't know. They don't have like the red star on the tiara. Maybe that would look too distracting if they had it red. I don't know, but that's another thing I kind of would have liked to change. But the costume is essentially the same here, which is good, which is very good. All right, let's see. We got a little glimpse of baby Wonder Woman. Yeah, we're going back to the mascara, apparently, and it's going to be a flashback to young Diana again. which looks like the same actress, although she probably aged somewhat. I'm guessing this is another flashback scene. I'm not sure, but where it looks like some kind of, I would like to say contest or something, but I think this is sort of like their Olympics or something, maybe. I don't know. But they're all watching it like it's some kind of contest. I don't know if this is just a trial of some sort, or, the contest from the comics where, that's how Wonder Woman, in the comics anyway, was proved mighty enough to be the one to leave the island. And I would love if they actually did that here, even though it's after the fact, even though it's should have happened in the first movie. If they did do it here, the way they did it in the Linda Carter TV show, where they basically redid the origin for the 70s, where she had to win the contest all over again, that would be cool, because it should be at least in it once, the contest. Of course, that was bullets and bracelets and so on and so forth, but I don't know if they'd go so far. Very Raiders of the Lost Ark feel here. There's a big action scene, apparently, with, and I think that's by no mistake. Obviously, this is an 80s film. It's an homage to the 80s classics as well. Wonder Woman gets in action here with a bunch of trucks and desert vehicles on this lonely stretch of road. Steve Trevor also taking part. Looks like a lot of fun. Looks like there'll be some action. Let's see. And finally, we get the Wonder Woman costume reveal. This is the new Wonder Woman costume. Again, hopefully just for the end of the movie. I don't think they're going to make this her new costume permanently going forward. It looks very Thanagarian to me, doesn't it? Looks like Thanagar, right? Hawk Girl. I would see Hawk Girl wearing this. So I don't get why she's wearing it. I suppose because the eagle is sort of her symbol. Flash got the lightning, Batman got a bat, but Wonder Woman sort of has the eagle symbol. And I guess this is representative of that. I'm not sure I entirely dig it, but whatever. And here's a better picture with sort of the gold leggings or whatever it is, and the helmet. Doesn't look too bad from that angle. And of course, then we have the last scene, the final joke coda, where Steve, I don't know, he's looking around the sights of the 80s and he finds a trash can, and she says it's just a trash can. Kind of unnecessary, if you asked me. I think this is sort of role reversal, where they want to say, well, Diana was walking around 1918 England and was treating it like Disneyland because she didn't know anything and was so naive, and now Steve is the same way. He's got to walk around the 80s and be like, gee, this is nothing like 1918. It's like a fairyland, or the world of tomorrow. I guess it makes sense. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's like, in a way, it's like, well, yeah, we're going to do the role reversal now. Steve doesn't know anything, and he's got to, sort of look like a bumbling, buffoon. But, again, I don't want to judge on just one joke in the trailer. That might be the extent of it, But anyway, yeah, that about wraps it up for the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer. I am very pleased with it. As you probably could tell, I spent a lot more time on this one than I did the Black Widow trailer or the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. I was very impressed with this. Like I said, I'm going to need to see the cheetah. I think that a lot of it is going to sink or swim on how the cheetah looks, how she's portrayed in action. Is she going to be completely feline-ish looking, or is it just going to be a costume? I don't know. We really haven't gotten too much confirmation that I'm aware of about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Let me know if you're looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984 as much as I am. And once again, as I said, be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us on Johnny Torch Live number 186. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out the Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 through 3 review that I did last week. You can check out my review for the Black Widow trailer that I did last week as well. And as I said before, I've got a couple other things coming up that I've pre-recorded that I'll be dropping within the next couple of weeks during the holiday weeks coming up. Yeah, no show next Saturday. There's not going to be a show next Saturday. I might try to do another live stream sometime next week, possibly Wednesday. That seems to be my other best bet. But if not, there will be a pre-recorded episode on Saturday, and probably we'll try to do something else live the following Saturday. All right, you follow that? You dig? Cool. Cool, babe. Okay, so thank you once again for joining me here on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Johnny Torch Live program. Make sure you tune in all week. We're going to try to play some extra content, as I said, that we've got ready to go. And check out The Adventures of Bullet's Bourbon Private Eye, link in the description below, as well as voting in that poll while you still can. Make sure you also like, share, and subscribe. So, once again, until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.